I'm Brittany. Welcome to my channel. These are my sisters, Maria and Sarah, the one who's making fun of faces. So we tried to live stream. I thought it was working because I couldn't be on the page because I'm like recording the screen. And come to find out after we were talking for like an hour, okay, it was like 44 minutes, that it streamed none of it. So we're gonna briefly talk about it again. I wanted it to be off the cuff, but oh well. I stink at live streaming, so I'll probably just pre-record the ones coming forward until I figure it out, because this is just
you
annoying.
need a few practice runs.
I literally did like 5. I practiced like 5 times with the software and all of it. Like literally, and it worked fine those times. But the one time I need it to work fine, and it doesn't. It's like, oh. Anyway.
Isn't that always the way?
Yeah. It's so annoying. Alright, Sarah. You want to talk about the first story in the book again?
Okay. So this story in the book was actually really hard for me because it was a very sad story, and it's like being a mom and talking about having issues with a baby is already hard enough, and it's just like I was very emotional the whole book. Like I had to take a break reading it a couple times because I was either crying or angry, and it was just very like emotional and very heavy for a book. Like it wasn't a fun subject for me to read, so I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. I like the second book and the third book better, or story, but it had some good like points, but it was just really, really hard, especially when like the doctors came in or the nurses just kind of swept the baby away, and then they sedated the mom, and I was like super angry. Like, how could you do that? How could you just like handle it like that and not tell anyone what's going on and just send everybody home and be like, oh, we'll tell you tomorrow, everything's fine, just go home?
Hi.
Like, no, I'm not leaving until you tell me what's going on with my baby, because it was just like, I don't know, it made me really upset.
Yeah. Sorry, we're in the middle of recording a video. Dad came in, he wanted to say hi to you. We told him to go away.
Hi, Dad.
She says hi! Yeah, like, the way they handled it was just awful.
I feel like stories I hear about people giving birth or even this story in the hospital, I'm like, doctors really take liberties that they have no right to. And I feel like they need to be more communicative to the parents, because they have no right to. I mean, okay, you're there to deliver the baby because that's your job, and obviously not every parent can do it themselves. Some parents do, but like you're there, they're letting you help them give birth, and you're making decisions without consulting the parents. I believe that you need to ask the parents basically to do anything with their baby. If the baby leaves the room, the dad should go with, to wherever, because who knows what's happening in the other room. And
and that's where it's kind of different because of the time period of this book, because when we were born, they took us off to the nursery and so mom could sleep, and it was just like, it was normal for them to take the baby out of the room. And then when I had Melanie this past year, they were like, we can take the baby if you want us to, but you can keep the baby in your room too if you want. And I was like, I'm keeping her in here, thank you. Of course, they still took her in the middle of the night to do tests or something, like for hearing tests and stuff like that. But that still irritated me because I'm like, I don't know what you're doing to my baby. And then they come back and she's got this prick on her foot because they had to draw blood and stuff. And I'm just like, really? What are you doing back there with my baby? Like, I don't know. I'm a little mama bearish where I'm like, I want to know exactly what you're doing with my child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that
Like-
and also, I don't think people realize the importance of the birth bonding, and like right after the child's born, they need to be right there against your skin. To have that skin-to-skin contact is really important to do the birth bonding and all of that.
Yeah, and in this book, she didn't have that at all.
No.
And honestly,
Not at all. She took her before she even could gather what was going on.
yeah, it was like, I think they had her sleep for like 6 hours. So maybe like 7 or so hours later, she might have been able to hold her, finally.
Yeah.
Which, that is a long time. That there already was that disconnect.
Yeah, especially when you can how short the life was, baby.
Right.
Because the baby barely lived, 3 days? And so every hour with that child is precious.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And for those first hours, no one got to hold her or see her. And I feel like they were robbed of that opportunity because they didn't get much time with the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the little time they did was in a NICU unit with all the other babies around, and it was just like cold, and it just felt wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Personally, if I had been the mom, I'd be like, no, I'm staying in the hospital, and I want my baby in my room with me all the time because she's going to be dying, and I want as much time with her as I can get. At least that would be me.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's like, of course, you know me. I love babies. I, hold them a lot. And I as if it were my baby, and, it's not going to make it, there isn't a moment I wouldn't want to be holding it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Like,
I'd be holding onto that baby as if it were like my lifeline kind of thing.
yeah. If I did it, she only got to hold it like twice. Her baby, she only got to hold like twice.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, from a mourning, a grieving process, I don't feel like that was enough of a connection to be able to, like, I don't even have the words. Like there's the letting go process, or like the saying goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of seemed like for like 5 minutes she held her, as after he turned off the machine, and then she handed her to her husband, and he held her for a little bit, and then to Melanie. But I personally would have needed more time.
Yeah.
I agree. Or even just after she stopped breathing, like I would be sitting holding that baby even when it's lifeless, like just clinging to, I mean, I don't know. In that situation, it's really hard to gauge how you'd react, because if you're already losing it, it's hard to bond. But I mean, as someone who's had a baby, I know that whole 9 months of pregnancy and stuff, you're bonding with your baby, you're holding the baby inside of you, and it's like when the baby comes out, it's a completely different feeling of holding the baby versus just carrying the baby. So it's like, I don't know, I didn't ever want to stop holding my baby. I still had to pass her around and share it with everyone, but it's just like the miracle of life that you're holding, and it's just like even if you only get a few days with it, with her, every second is precious.
Yeah.
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 And the whole, like, at the end when they wanted to donate, and the doctor and the lawyer, like, the way they talked to them really irritated me. It's just like that whole thing. I was just like, how wrong is that?
I did feel that it was really bold and cold, but it also is kind of hard to, because she said in the description she felt that what they were saying was genuine, but honestly, I feel like in a situation like that, there's no way of doing it gently.
I suppose. Oh,
of course,
yeah.
Some doctors can...
But then it's just like that morality issue where it's like, you could have done this if you aborted the baby, but now it's too late for the baby to make a difference in people's lives because you let it live out the last of its life. And it's just so, like, hard to grasp how it's right for them to kill the baby and use its body parts, but then they waited too long and now it's no longer okay for that.
Yeah.
Like, where's the line that you draw that it's morally okay and then now it's not? And I understand there needs to be a line, but I just don't understand why it's there.
Yeah. It just, none of it makes sense.
Well, in even the line that is there, you're like, wait a minute. So if we're given the options immediately, they could have made the decision right as she was born. But
they didn't even have the opportunity because they didn't know what was going on.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that,
so
and also...
Then you're like, that's the doctor's fault because they didn't even give them all of the information and or the option. I mean, I wouldn't have agreed with the option, but they still didn't even
right, at the
have
moment,
it.
They'd be like, heck no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, also...
But they didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So
they didn't know what was going on.
Decision.
But then even if they had been told, like, to have to make a split-second decision about something like that, to process, oh, my baby's not going to live. And maybe I could give her organs to somebody else so they don't lose their child. I mean, like, the mom literally had to sleep on it.
And I still can't believe that they didn't see if there was anything wrong in the ultrasound. Like,
yeah.
That baffles me because, like, they take so many pictures in the ultrasound and measure everything. And when there's an entire section of the brain missing, how does that not show up? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Especially when her head was slightly deformed, you know? Mm-hmm. Like sticking out or whatnot.
Right.
Was it not that way inside? I don't know. You know, like, that seems like something that you would notice, but it's
I didn't like that one. I bawled my eyes out.
I thought it was a very for Melanie to go through, like, you know, obviously she was angry. She was so upset that she had wanted a sibling her whole, well, basically, you know, her whole life that she can remember, and her parents not being able to, and then finally they could, and they were all so happy. I mean, they were going all out like crazy. They were ready for this baby, and then their whole world shattered, and then I feel like part of her grieving process was, like, what was the purpose of having Jennifer being born if she wasn't going to live longer than a few days? Or even open her eyes, or be able to hear, and then she was really searching for a purpose, and then that's where the donation came in. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity, story-wise, and kind of bringing it round circle of the donation, because in a mourning process, I think that would have helped them to be like,
It would have brought closure, kind of.
it would have brought closure,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of not. I mean, there might have been closure,
And
like,
even for us as a reader, that would have felt like there was purpose in the story. But then
Mhm.
when we found out that they couldn't do it, it just felt like so real and raw and
Yeah.
emotional and like wrong.
yeah.
Like we didn't get closure as readers because it was just like, this is not, like the whole story. This isn't okay. This isn't fair. This isn't right. And it's just really sad.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say I did really love how her friends handled everything.
Yeah.
Like right down from the beginning when they threw her a sister shower, that was like the sweetest thing.
Yeah.
And all the presents they gave her to be prepared to be a sister, and then how they were there for her when the baby was being born, and they were there for her when everything went wrong, and they were just like, we're here for you no matter what. And I'm like, that is so cool. Like, you don't hear about friends like that very often.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that she had such a strong group to rely on when she went through all of that, I feel like made it a lot easier for her.
Yeah.
Just to know that they were there.
Yeah, especially
Even when there's not something that they can say to make things better, they were there.
Yeah, especially the day she went home, and her friends were waiting on the porch, and then they came in, and she just cried, and they were just there, and then she fell asleep, and they just stayed in the same room and were with her. Like, because honestly, I wouldn't have expected them to just stay in the same room. Maybe not, like, leave the house, but they were literally right there. And I feel like that was really important for her. Because, I mean, she needed that cry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
Right.
for both her friends to be there, well, going through that, and then obviously being so exhausted, and crying makes you even more exhausted. She was actually able to sleep, and their presence, I think, was a big part of that. And that was just a good part of, she really, through the process, it helped her know that she really had true friends, which was good.
Yeah.
Because you don't really know.
And she wasn't alone.
Yeah. That, till you have to go through stuff like this. Because they could have, it was a hard issue. They could have just walked away or like made a barrier between them.
Especially when they're that age.
Yeah.
Because they were pretty young, and yet they were still able to realize that she was going through big emotions, and she was going to need someone, and there wasn't anything that they could do to make it better, but just being there was good, and not being afraid of her having big emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And being able to make her feel comforted and comfortable enough to open up and grieve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's very emotionally intelligent of them.
Yeah.
Okay, then second story. Want to start, since that's your favorite?
So you're like, at first, this is really weird. Brittany was like, it's so creepy. He was like watching her, and I'm like, okay.
I think that's creepy.
Okay, I read it as,
I think so too.
You think so
Dr.
too?
Much.
Okay, I was like, okay, The fact that he went to the doctor and said something was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And then the fact that the doctor went to her and said something was another level of weird.
It was cringy.
It was
cringy.
but people, you walk by people, you notice them, and you can see them, obviously. So I personally don't see it as like a creepy stalker watching, but more of a he noticed
But to
her.
get to the point where he's talking about her to other people, and he's like, oh, she's so pretty, and I bet she'd never notice me, and all this stuff is like, really?
Well, he went to the same school with
I
her,
think
too.
you have cancer, but he's a little, like, desperate.
Yeah. Well, that, and like how he kept saying how she was
Cringy.
beautiful and special. I'm like, how would you know that she's special? Or, you know, like, I don't know.
I
Like,
don't know this girl.
yeah, you two are strangers. And so I totally, like, felt for her because she's very clearly uncomfortable with this whole situation. I mean, her mom even says it. You're not flattered by any of this, are you? And she's like, no. She's creeped out. And I'm like, I don't really blame her. And I do sympathize with the guy. I mean, he's sick. All of his friends left him. And so he's very lonely. I get that. But it doesn't mean you should be creepy. And it doesn't
And
mean
then
that...
she has, like, no choice. Like, she has to go out with him. She's literally forced into it. She's like, I'll think about it, even though I feel like I have no choice. And then, like Maria was saying before, his mom calls her up and is like, can you please do this for him and all that? It's just like, really? And then she completely makes it where she can't say no. She has to go out with this guy.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know him.
Yeah. I'm just gonna quick double check. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was still recording because now I'm paranoid.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me actually though. Like, when I'm recording, because I can't see the screen because I use, say, like with my phone, I use this camera instead of this camera because it's better quality, and
So
I'll run out of so it's facing away from
When you
me.
can't see.
So I can't see it, and sometimes I'll run out of memory, and I don't know it, and I film like a 20-minute video, and I'll go on there, and it's like not recorded, and I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm not even making this video anymore. I've done that so many times where I'm just
Well, it's like when we did that video, and then it was just like gone. We're like, really? We just spent all that time making a video, and now it's gone. Really?
Yeah. That's so frustrating. I don't get it.
Technology can be nice, but also really annoying.
Was that when we did that Harry Potter quiz?
Yes.
Yeah.
It would have been so good.
That was fun.
It was.
We should do that while you're here. We should do that again. And
Do you think?
Well, we already know all the answers now.
we'll do a different one. We'll do a different quiz.
No, we couldn't find another one. Remember?
There's been several released now. I'll find one.
I'm sure you can find more.
Yeah.
A billion Harry Potter things out there.
Yeah, and then
Anyway.
we can, since we don't have to do this screenshot thingy, I think it'll be easier to record and do all. So, yeah.
Okay, back to the book.
Back to the book. Sorry.
So then she finally goes out. He comes and picks her up, and there's a limo outside. And she's like, "Whoa, okay, like you go from a normal date
Like, how
to
much
a
money do
limo."
we have? Seriously.
Even if they
Because,
didn't,
like, they're like, money's not a problem. Your son is dying from cancer. How is money not a problem here? Like, really?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Hospital bills are crazy.
yeah, they must have been rich to begin with, and especially because they're like when they were
Yeah,
telling
that's cool.
stories of like when he was younger, and he was going through, stuff, and he was starting to get depressed or whatever, they would just like buy him a video game or do that. And I'm like, that's kind of on the verge of like
Spoiling your kid?
it's like, okay, I get he's going through a lot, you want to make him happy, but man,
Yeah.
And then how she's like, but then he started wanting things that we couldn't buy, and I'm like, well, it sounds kind of like you're trying to buy him a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
definitely felt that, especially when they're like, and we'll make sure you have a good time, and then they offered to buy her or pay her for her dress after she bought it, and then she's like, no.
I like how she's like, oh no, it's fine.
Yeah, she's like, it was something I already had.
Because she doesn't want to feel like being bought.
Yeah.
It's like that whole mental thing where, like, I know what you're trying to do, but I don't want to feel like I owe you anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just awkward already.
Mm-hmm.
The whole situation is just awkward for her. But I still don't get how she
And then she's got a crush on a jerk.
Yeah. But I still don't get how she could forget the night of the prom that's plastered everywhere at her school. And then she says yes to the jerk.
Exactly.
When she has a date with Doug. I'm just like, I'm sorry, but that's just wrong. And I felt like it was obvious what she should have done from the beginning when she realized. She should have called up Mr. Jerk and been like, I'm sorry, I just realized I already said yes to another guy to go to the dance that's on the same night, so I can't go with you now. Just lay it out for him.
And he's replacing her by not calling her back, and he's the one who's been not coming up by and saying hi anymore, and all of a sudden he just shows up and expects her to go to the dance with him. Like, he's already got so many red flags going for this kid, and yet she still feels like she'd rather go with him. It's stupid.
It is. Like, just because he's good looking?
It's just, she's starstruck, and, it's like, oh my gosh, but he's popular, and he's cute, and who wouldn't want to be with him? And you're like,
I just don't get girls like
gosh.
this, because his personality just makes him so ugly to me right now. Like, maybe that's just because I'm a reader and I can't see him, but at the same time, like...
Especially when your friend tells you she sees him with another girl.
Yeah.
Like, how can you be okay with him with another girl while he's flirting with you? Based on that information, you're just a side plaything for him, basically. And he hasn't shown you any more interest than his casual flirting and convenient dates.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not a relationship make.
No, not at all.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just don't get it.
And when she finally made her decision, I guess, or found what was the decision she should make, she calls him, and then he, becomes, he's straight out as a total jerk, and you're like, girl, if he reacts this way, and if you don't see it as bad, wow.
And you got problems.
Yeah. Like, literally. That would totally be like, on second thought, why did I even like you in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, because she didn't even know him, and she was already starstruck.
But I really love how they treated up the dance at his house. And it was, like, so sweet how she just, like, dropped everything and was like, this is a priority now. And this is something that I'm going to make happen for him because he needs this. And how it's just, like, his parents helped set it up. Hi.
Is Melanie back?
Melanie's home. I don't know. Let's see. Say hi. What did you get? You got a shopping bag?
Hi. Oh, look at those cute little pigtails.
Hi, Melanie.
What? The Takalos, huh? Everyone's like, she's so cute. What is this? Oh, it's a Santa suit. Is this from Nemo? Kind of Nemo. Yeah. Oh, so it was from River or Rain. I can't remember her name. I just know it's one of those water things. Anyway, we're still recording, so we had an issue. We were live streaming, and then we got done and found out none of it posted. So now we're having to re-record and then post it later. So we're a little bit
Irritated?
upset, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hi, Melanie.
Hi, cutie.
Lunch.
Did you have fun?
Say hi, Auntie.
Ooh, what you got
Show them
there?
your Santa suit.
Are you Santa's little helper?
Here, sit. This goes on your head like that. There is let's see, we have supper sandwiches. We have lots of leftovers. We have leftover chicken. We have leftover. She can have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and she'll be happy. She's really simple. Or tomato soup if you're willing to deal with that mess. She loves tomato soup. She'll go in the cabinet and bring me the can of tomato soup and be like, Mom, can we have tomato soup? I'm like, really? It's such a mess. Okay, where were we?
We were talking about her putting together the dance for Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you guess what I like?
I thought it was really stupid. How it's like, he's getting sick, and because of them being outside looking at stars, and then he's like, can we go out and look at the stars? I'm like, he's literally sick because of you looking at the stars when it's cold, and now you're going to go out and look at the stars while it's cold? Seriously? That's why he's sick. I mean, that's part of why he's sick.
I get he thinks he's
Still.
dying, but like, he's not dead yet, so there's still a chance
You
he
could be
survive.
a little more careful.
Yeah, like that's just so stupid. You do the smart thing. You know, just take care of yourself. Ugh.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird how he's like, when I die, I want to go look at all of the stars far away, and that'll be my consolation prize for dying young.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
I'm like,
Like,
you know
weird.
what? You know what? Don't feel sorry for yourself like that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve anything just because you're dying young. We don't
Yeah.
deserve nothing in this world.
Yeah. Right?
Well, that and
Don't feel
yeah.
self-entitled like that.
I know all the stars.
I know that you're an only child and you've been spoiled, basically, even though you're sick. So what? You're still spoiled. You know what? Get over yourself. But besides that little bit, I feel like he doesn't really act that much like an only child. Because he plays with the kids
I
at
think
the
he was
hospital.
mostly joking, yet not.
Sometimes you can't tell.
Like, he's nice. He seems nice. But part of that is, like, is he nice because he's dying, or is he just actually nice? Like, I wonder what he was like before he was dying.
True.
True. People do change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't think of that. But yeah, okay. So the next story.
Wait.
Well, you're not done yet.
I liked how.
Wait, it's her favorite. Can't stop.
We've already done this.
Okay. Not this part, because
Okay.
whatever. Because it's the end. I liked how it ended where he didn't die. They were just dancing, outside. And that's how it ended. So you're like, well, maybe he did survive, or, it's like doesn't come to that end.
It leaves it open-ended, so
Yes,
the possibility of him surviving
So
is
you
there.
can have the happy ending in your mind, or the sad ending. It's up to you to decide.
Especially after such a hard end for the first book. Because it's like, you're getting off of that really, really sad ending, and then you at least have this, like, somewhat fluffy moment at the end of this book.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he had a good last little bit of life there, and we don't know exactly how it ends, but at least he had this moment to remember.
Yeah.
And we have this moment as our last thing to think about.
Yeah.
And not of his dying.
Yeah.
But they still kind of make it clear that he's really close to death, so.
Yeah.
All right, can we move on now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please. Thank you. Okay. Who wants to start about the third one?
I guess I can.
Okay.
Out of all of the books, I think this was my favorite one. It was just like, I don't know, it had a good lesson, kind of. But I did feel like, it doesn't matter, yeah, sure. It's supposed to be separated. It's natural peanut butter. It's separated, but you have to mix it first. There's another jar of peanut butter in there, though, you can use if you want the creamy stuff. Sorry. But I feel like that, just, like, the way that her friend... I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, so... I like this story because it was just talking about making the right decisions and, like, learning from your mistakes. I did feel like it was really obvious from the beginning that, the baby was hers.
Yeah.
And then when they finally show that it is, it's like, oh, yeah, it is hers. But I'm just like, yeah, hello.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty obvious, I think. But
Yeah.
maybe that's just me. I don't know. And just, like, I felt like it was a little drawn out. I liked how it ended with her giving up the baby, because I felt like that was the best situation for all of the people involved. It's not the easiest situation, but it was the best solution and would make all of them happy, I guess, in the end, even though it's hard.
Yeah.
But it was just, I almost felt like she drew it out too much, where waiting a whole entire year before signing the paperwork was hard on her, it was hard on them, and it kind of robbed her baby from being able to have a true bonding relationship with his adoptive parents, because they were too afraid to bond with him while she was still there, because in their mind, she could take him away in a moment, and they didn't want her to feel uncomfortable, so they were both still working, and then so they lost out that opportunity to really truly bond with their son.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to be sensitive to her feelings. But I felt like she just drew it out too long. And I understand form those memories with her son, but it was really making it harder on herself and on them, because now she has an attachment and they don't have the relationship that they should at this point. I don't know. I just felt like it was too drawn out.
That and the boy, the baby was very confused, because, like, I think he knew that she was his mom, but yet he was calling the other woman mom, and, like, it was very confusing for him too.
Yeah.
Like, who's my real mom?
Because a 1-year-old knows. Like, a 1-year-old is old enough to know something's off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, my daughter's a 1.5 years, and if she had a separate mom in our life, like, that would definitely be something that confused her. Especially when they literally asked for her permission to go see Santa. It's like, are you the mom? Are you the mom? Who's the parent here? Like, you can't all be the parent. It's going to confuse everybody.
Yeah. It was just so awkward. Yeah.
I honestly felt like it was weird that she was with her son for a whole year and still gave him up. Like, the odds of that happening are kind of, I feel like it would be harder.
Yeah.
Because you actually are connected with
But
them
it's like
more.
she built that bond with him. And that's where it made it harder on herself and on them, because it's like now she doesn't want to let go, because it's not just her baby, it's her son, and she knows him and she knows what he likes and she loves him, but now she's still going to give him up, and now she has to really separate someone that was close to her versus just, a baby that she doesn't even really know. Not that it's that much easier, but it's still like it made it that much harder because she waited so long, I think.
Yeah.
And in that kind of thing, it's like I can see that she couldn't, without help, take him. Like, she obviously would have to get a job, do that, and then she couldn't afford to take him right away. And of course, the Davidsons would be very heartbroken if she did take him, and like, the scenarios they just don't work out that way.
Yeah.
So I kind of almost feel like she weighed the options. She'd go, my parents already said they basically won't help me. They want me to put him up for adoption, and or actually sign the papers, and then basically they wouldn't accept her back into their life until he was gone. And so her only option from that point of view was to put him up for adoption. And to be honest, that was, except for her emotions and her feelings and stuff, that was the easiest option, in my opinion. It was just easier.
And except that they would be such good parents to him. Like, it'd be one thing if they weren't going to be good parents, but they did seem really like they would be situation. I mean, obviously it's a hard situation. But they've wanted a kid for so long, and they would be good parents based on what we've read about them. And so it's just like, it feels like she's given a really good opportunity to make her son have a better life than what she can provide for him. And so the only problem is that emotionally she has to let go. And that's hard.
Yeah.
But it's for the best for everyone involved.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why it was so bittersweet for me, because I'm like, I believe family is very important, and I like families to, like, stay together. But in the end, she knew that she couldn't take care of him, and so she did what was best. And they are good people, and they'll love him, and they'll tell him about her, and the opportunity of her seeing him again down the line is there. And so I think overall it was a good decision, and the wise decision for what was happening. Yeah, it is
and
so
I think
sad.
It's cool how it becomes a teachable moment for Elle, because she's going through something where she has to make a decision, and it's hard, and then she's pressured into it by her boyfriend, and then she gets ostracized by everyone because she chooses not to, but he still spreads those rumors about her. But then goes to Kathy, who's been through something similar, kind of, and can tell her, you know, you've made the right decision, and you're wise, and, you know, this was good. So she reaffirms her decision not to. And then, like, I love how she tells her, just tell your mom the truth. Like, there was a bad situation and you had to get out of there. And then her mom's proud of her for getting out of that situation. And she's like, oh, wow, that turned out well. I didn't expect that. Whereas all of a sudden she's like, okay, yeah, I definitely did the right thing here. And I didn't have to lie to my mom about it because I did the right thing.
Yeah. Who would have thunk it, right?
Right, because there's so many stories that, or things that you see where they're in a bad situation and they do the right thing, but they still lie. And you're like, but you have no reason.
Then they make it worse
lie.
for themselves.
Yeah.
But you did the right thing.
Like Hermione in The Sorcerer's Stone. Like,
I knew you were gonna
literally.
go there.
Well, it's true, because think about it. She was in the bathroom, didn't know about the troll. Second, they were going to get her to bring to the common room. They weren't necessarily going there to face the troll. And I think if they had...
whole scene irritates me because it's like, really?
Yeah. I
You
feel
got
like...
yourselves in trouble for no reason.
Yeah, I feel like if they had explained it to McGonagall, she would have been like, how very Gryffindor of you. All right, go along. You know?
Well, it's like, I think they didn't think that they would be believed.
Maybe. I don't know. Kids choose the path of least resistance, and if they think lying is that path of least resistance,
Well, and it's
they'll
also
do it.
just like, their fear of getting in trouble, even if they're doing the right thing, causes them to lie, because it's just like a natural fight or flight mechanism, kids, I feel like. Especially when, what are they, 11, 12 at the time?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, it makes sense that they're going to automatically go into defensive mode of, oh, let me come up with a story to make this make sense, because
Yeah.
we weren't where we were supposed to be. But it's just like, kids in general feel like their parents don't understand where they're coming from, and so they have to come up with a lie to get out of things. And it's like, sometimes the truth is the best route, because parents understand. They were kids once too, you know? Sometimes you get in trouble, but sometimes it's good, because it's like, now they know that you're responsible enough to react the way that you did, or they know where you have areas that you need to grow. So it's like, if you're lying, it's just doing more harm than good. I mean, lying is always doing more harm than good, but still. So I thought that was cool how Kathy was there to be able to tell her, you know, it's okay to tell your mom the truth and be able to, I mean, she didn't tell her the whole truth, which I feel like her mom would have been pretty upset with her boyfriend and been like, you can never see him again, if she did tell her the truth, which she doesn't really need her mom to tell her she can never see him again, because she's already pretty much not going to be able to see him again based on his reaction to her response.
Yeah.
But it was just like, you know, she was still able to tell her mom, like, okay, I got out of there because it was getting bad. And that was enough information for her mom to go, I'm proud of you for doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, okay, cool, I did something right. Versus if she would have gone off on her own and not called Kathy, she would be stirring with these, really hashing what happened over and over again, and probably second guessing her choice, because it's like, with the pressure of that moment, like, if she would have chose to go through with it, she would still have a boyfriend, and she would still have friends, and she'd still be popular, and even though it would have been the wrong thing, but she would be second guessing herself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so just like the whole having someone there to tell her she did the right thing, I think was really important for her, because she was very vulnerable at that situation, and like her emotions were running really high.
Yeah.
And so
Plus the added,
just the
like,
fact that she thought to call Kathy.
yeah. Also, if you think about it, like, she was kind of assaulted to a certain degree, because she kept saying no, and
Well,
like, I'm not comfortable with
It could have
this.
gotten to that point, but she didn't. I wouldn't say she was assaulted, but he was definitely verbally abusive to her,
Yeah.
and bullying and manipulative, and
Well, also, I feel
where
like
she could have been where she felt like she couldn't say no, but she did say no, and it was great that she was able to do that, but it could have become a really bad situation because, you know, guys are stronger, and she was definitely feeling high pressure, and just the way that he was trying to manipulate her and be like, well, if you love me, you do this for me, and she's like, this doesn't feel right, and it's just like, it could have been really bad.
Any guy who tries to pressure you into doing something that you don't want to do.
You mean convince? Too?
Yeah. He doesn't really love you. That's just a fact.
Like, you don't even have to pressure. If they try to have to convince you to do something.
Yeah.
So she obviously before, even when she was babysitting her sister and at home with him, and she was using her mom as an excuse because she didn't want to be in that situation.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, girl, why'd you say come over then?
Yeah.
Unless he just randomly showed up at her house. I don't know.
No, it did say she called him.
Yeah.
But it was still like, you know, it's her boyfriend. She wants to spend time with him. That's understandable. You want to be alone with your boyfriend. But then when it gets to the point where he's getting to be trying to get you to do things you don't want to do, and then he's acting like she's crazy for not wanting to, and then coming up with excuses, and then he gets mad at her because he's pushing things too far, and then he stops talking to her because she didn't want to do anything, and then her mom came home, which she was like grateful, like thank goodness mom came home early with a headache, because this could have gotten real bad real fast again. And then I don't understand how she goes in a room with him alone after something like that happens, where she clearly does not want to end up in that situation again. But then she gets herself in that situation again. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, she was definitely not smart in that area.
Yeah, I feel like she was almost innocent into believing there was other things. I don't know what she thought.
Yeah, like, a guy pulls you away at a party.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, to go up to a room to be alone. It's not good. Especially given what
she didn't even want to kiss him, and then she's like pushing him away when he's kissing her, and then they're like, oh, it must be because you're in public, she doesn't want to kiss in public or whatever, she's too shy. So then they go upstairs to kiss. It's like, not a good idea.
Yeah, personally, if I was her and he was like trying to kiss me and I'd be like, I'm not okay with this, and he's still trying, I'd be like, I'm out, goodbye, I'm leaving.
You would not be in that situation.
No, I wouldn't. But I'm just saying, like...
What? At a high schooler at a party with alcohol and boys? What? Doesn't that sound just like Brittany's scene?
Even...
No.
Forget all that.
This is my scene.
A boy wanting to kiss her?
Oh.
I'm kidding. You allowing a boy to get close enough to kiss you is more of what I mean.
Wait, are we talking about Brittany or are we talking about you, Maria?
Both of us?
We both probably would have punched him.
Don't you touch my hand. Why are you holding my hand? Get away.
Sarah, you know, that's dangerous. This is public domain.
It's helpful I'm 700 miles away from you.
Yeah. But not for long. You're coming soon.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, and the book we chose for next week, we did a whole, like, we all nominated and we voted, and this is the one we chose, Princess of the Midnight Ball by Jessica Day George. I will put a link for it in the description. And we also decided we're going to be doing every other week. And then possibly, if that doesn't work, we might go to once a month, but right now it's every other week. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed us rambling and passionately talking.
Were you pointing to mostly me for
We're
that?
so opinionated.
No, I was not.
What?
How do you do that without hurting
What's
your
her
neck?
book choice? So the fact that she picked this book makes sense that she's very passionate about talking about her book.
True.
So
True.
next week you can be passionate because it was your choice.
Yeah,
Yes.
but you know
Of course,
what?
we all love this book. I think so.
We'll all be passionate about the next one because we've all already read it.
We all
Which,
love
honestly,
this author.
I'm kind of like we already have read this book, all three of us, multiple times. I'm pretty sure.
It's just an opportunity to talk about it, really.
Yeah. Really.
And I'm
Yeah.
I'm always up for, you know.
Because Jessica St. George is my favorite author.
Yeah. She's my favorite
And I
modern
love
author.
rereading her book.
I would definitely say.
She's good.
Yeah, she's really good. And any chance I have of like, hey, here's awesome authors that not everybody has heard of, which is the great thing about BookTube. But yeah, we will see you next time